Now, his name is Charles Benoit.
How many of you have been to these series before with Jared giving his talks? Well, as you know, each week Jared gets up here and he gives you a valuable, knowledgeable, thoughtful insight onto the films, the actors, the directors, the film's role in cinematography history, its impact on cultural values and norms, and you really come away with a deeper, better understanding of the film that you're going to see. Tonight, not so much. See, as an author, I'm not drawn as much to the actors or the directors. I'm drawn to the author that inspired the story, David Goodis. And David Goodis is one of the pulp masters and the noir masters. He was born in 1917 in Philadelphia. The last time the city was the city of brotherly love. After David Goodis, it's not allowed to be called that anymore. He went to Temple University, got a degree in journalism, and then worked as a copywriter. Now, it's amazing the number of great authors that started off as copywriters. Not just authors, but artists. So for example, the actor Bob Newhart was a copywriter. Directors Alan Parker, Frank Rodman, and John Hughes. Legendary John Hughes started off as a copywriter. But it's the authors that amaze me, the number of great authors that started off as copywriters. William Burroughs, Sherwood Anderson, Dom DeLillo, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Dashiell Hammett, Joseph Heller, Elmer Leonard, Salman Rushdie, and Dorothy L. Sayers all worked as copywriters. By the way, I'm proud to be a senior copywriter at Dixon Schwab Advertising. Goodis started writing his first novel, Retreat from Oblivion, that was published in 1939, and he had some serious literary aspirations. He was going to be more than just a genre writer. He was going to be a literary star. He moved to New York City and found it wasn't selling as quite as he thought. Things weren't making as much money, so he took a job writing for the pulps. Now, those of you who know what pulps are, they're named after the cheap quality paper they were produced on, and oftentimes the stories were as cheap quality as the paper they were produced on. Sometimes there were some gems, but very few. He knocked out, when he was writing for the pulps, he wrote about 10,000 words a day. I average about 300 and call myself lucky. 10,000 words a day. In the 5.5 years he lived in New York City, excuse me, it's estimated he wrote 5 million words for publication. I think that's fantastic. He wrote 17 novels. Most of them are classified as mysteries, if you can find them at all anymore. But they're far from mysteries. They really all are the same story again and again and again. It's a fallen man dealing with drink and or woman and or the past and or a crime he hasn't and or has committed. And what I really like about David Goodis is just when you think life can't get worse, turn the page. Elmer Leonard was the one who had the great quote of what is noir. And he said, in noir, man meets woman, man flushes life down toilet. In David Goodis's work, that certainly comes true. So the film, with my nod to Jared, speaking a little about the film, Humphrey Bogart stars in this film, and he was a big mystery fan. He loved to read, according to his bios, and I can't do a Humphrey Bogart voice, but he said, if you like mystery stories, picking a favorite mystery story writer is like picking a favorite movie star, if you like movies. I can't do, but it kind of sounds Bogartish. His big three that he was a favorite fan of, Hammett, Chandler, and a guy named William Irish. I'll admit, I don't know William Irish. Bogart really liked Dark Passage and worked to get David Goodis involved on the script. And David Goodis worked as a screenwriter on the film and then disappeared before the film started shooting. Reasons why were never explained, but with David Goodis, picked something awful, and it's probably true. Dark Passage came out in 1947. It was Bogart's 41st film for Warner Brothers, and because you're film crowds, I should mention it was directed by Delmar Davies, and Sid Hickok was the director of photography. He also filmed Bogart and Bacall in To Have and Have Not and The Big Sleep. That's all I know about the movie. Some point of view thing that I do need to mention. This has got the great subjective camera technique, this point of view where we see it from Humphrey Bogart's view. This wasn't the first film to do it. There were several others, some experimental films written by Samuel Beckett and starring Buster Keaton, and also Lady in the Lake starring Robert Montgomery in his directorial debut, and I don't think it's nearly as good a film as this. The neat thing about this story, they had to keep the cameras at what would be Humphrey Bogart's eye level. Now, to do that, they had to build a special camera to do it. Humphrey Bogart was a little short, but the camera was really big. And in order to do it, they had to make sure the door frames were 7 feet tall. So they had to build 2 sets of door frames. The ones where we saw Humphrey Bogart with his own face, and the ones the camera went through. Because if not, you say, whoa, buddy, you really, that's a big doorway next to you. Humphrey Bogart was also very concerned that he doesn't appear in the film until a good hunk of it starts, and he thought people weren't going to like it because they didn't see him. And what I find it really interesting, the subjective point of view, is that that's the point of view of my next book, which is a young adult noir. You mentioned the jazz interest. There's 7 songs mentioned by name by Count Basie in the book Dark Passage. They do not all appear on the film, but they're really great Count Basie tunes. They're all upbeat and swinging numbers. Every Tub, John's Idea, Lester Leaps In, Texas Shovel, Shorty George, Sent for You Yesterday, and Here You Come Today. What a great title. And you'll see that referred to in the movie as, how many times could that line been said in the movie? Sent for you yesterday, and here you come today. And there's a wonderfully prophetic song in the movie, Out the Window. And when you see that scene in the movie, you'll say, hey, all right, I know where that's supposed to go. Not all the songs appear in the film, but they are in the book. So David Goodis died in 1967 of a stroke, or as the result of a beating he received a few days earlier when he was robbed, or of cirrhosis of the liver, or a heart attack. Even in death, he had several stories for everything. And if you like David Goodis, and you should check out NoirCon in Philadelphia in November 4th through the 7th, which is a celebration of David Goodis and all things noir. So I'll leave you with this one last thing that David Goodis said about Hollywood and writers, and I think he really nailed it. There is nothing wrong with Hollywood, rather its product that a few good writers couldn't cure. That's so true. So, 1947, Dark Passage. Thank you.